First trade of the day for me was am I even sharing the right screen? Yeah, I am. Okay, cool. First trade of the day for me was on MMAT. I was watching this one, and Mikey had called out the 5 minute flag setup right here. Nice stair step up on the 5 minute, and then we start having our low volume pullbacks. As soon as we have this wick down into the 189 area, I start smacking it, get long at 189, 5, and then 189 even. As soon as I do that, right over this pivot, risk is off 187 area right over here, off of this pre-market pivot over here. So as soon as I enter this trade, buyers started stepping in, and we have a push into 195s. I started peeling some off there, got some filled off at 196, so I believe it was on this candle. Kind of came down, came up, and then we start trading in the range, and then I started to feel like, all right, this should have went. And on this candle right here, when we kind of came up, and then made that new 5 minute high, but then stuffed, I was like, all right, I'm not really liking the way this is going. And that is where I actually caught my last piece at $1.88. So as soon as this candle right over here started flushing in, I caught it at $1.88. And at the time I had my downtrend line drawn like this, and I was like, all right, cool. Fast forward a little, someone ended up sucking it up right here on some high volume. And then, we tried to make the high here, and I told myself, I'm like, all right, if we can clear 193, then push over 195s and make our way into highs, maybe I'll add some more for the high of daybreak and the push into 2. We didn't get that, and, I was completely fine with that. So for this trade, I kind of got out of it with a small win, more break even in my opinion. So that was the first trade there on MMAT. Second trade of the day was on SYTA, or I believe SYTA was my first trade of the day, and then it was MMAT. SYTA, this one was really nice. I put in the Goblin Gang that I was looking for a 25 break and like flag, see if we get that push into pre-market highs, and then see if we can begin to open up. We had this gap up to 30s, and I was like, okay, if we get to 30s and fill our gap, normally momentum will follow, and we could probably get 32s, then push into 33s, and so on. That didn't happen, obviously, and we didn't form a flag up here. We kind of got rejected, and I still, I don't know, something in the morning, I was just really stuck on this ticker, and I don't know, I kind of had not really a gut feeling, but I was like, man, this has a lot of potential. If it gets the right volume that it needs in the right spot, this thing can possibly begin to open up. So we don't hold this 25. I put in the Goblin Gang that the second scenario we could have is a pullback into the pre-market lows, which is this area right over here, and we could possibly get long off the lows and risk off the lows. And that is exactly what I did. So on SYTA, whoa, what happened here? Oh, there we go. So on SYTA, I get long right over here at 23.2 on this candle. So right about up here, somewhere in here, and didn't get to get any profit off. We kind of just consolidated on the 1 minute for a few minutes. Kind of traded here. Kind of had some, a few pops. I was seeing some buyers stepping on the tape, and then right when we broke this 22 level, I was out. So that was a little L for me right off the bell. Right at the open. I was at this point when we came down and formed this bottom right here. Sure, it was on higher volume, but we sucked up right away and we pushed into 23s, and that kind of gave me a feeling like, all right, we're showing strength. When I looked at this, I was like, pre-market lows, usually pre-market high and pre-market lows are a really significant level, and at the time we kind of have a triple bottom setup with this one, and this one. So I was like, let's see if we can push higher from here. And if you kind of notice it, you can kind of see that it's forming a little uptrend there. We have our lower highs, and this was our third lower high, so I'm like, all right, this trend could be valid. So there was many different reasons that brought me to take the little risk over here, and thankfully it wasn't on a lot of size or anything, so it wasn't a crazy L or anything. But that was one of the trades I took, and that one was an L. Next trade of the day was on SNES. SNES was one of the best trades for the day. I think we made like 36% on this one if I'm not mistaken. And we had this nice 5-minute flag setup right over here. High volume push, low VPA pullback into our pivot. Kind of, you could call it like same to the previous one. But the fact that, we were holding this pivot, at the time, there was no pivot to go off here, and that's when I actually went to the daily, and I was like, all right, what the hell is this thing holding? That's when I found this 24.99 pivot here, and to me, it was just a really nice setup on the 5-minute. So I got long at 26.6 right in here, and I had alerted it in the Goblin Gang, and volume started coming in. We started breaking out of this 5-minute flag, started pushing into our 30s, which is a daily level. You could see from the 24 area, we have some room into 27, room into 29.30, then 34s, then 39s, and over 39s we could push into 42s. And that's what I was walking, that's what I was basically saying in the Goblin Gang. I was putting over 27, 34, over 34, 39, over 39, 42s, and then, so on. So on this one, got long in here, high volume push through our 5-minute flag to confirm the 5-minute flag. Took my first piece off at 30, always right in front of high day, just in case you double top and get rejected. Took more off into 31, took more off into 34, took another small piece off into 36, and then I had my last piece, which was my runner, and that's where I got stopped out on this 34 break right here. And I told myself, okay, we got a nice move out of this. It was like 30-some%. I was like, if we break this 34 on this last piece, I'm just going to go ahead and, close out the whole position. I did want to move into 40s. I did think that we could push into 40s, but, overall great trade. And I think, yeah, right over here. So it was a 34% trade. That was the 5-minute flag with the follow through. And then here's I'm like over 30, can open up. SNES 35s, 36s, or I'm sorry, 38s. Over 39, room to 42, still riding a piece. Double top at highs on SNES, watching 34 level to hold. And ultimately, when the 34 level break, that's when I was like, all right, this trade, is no longer bullish in my mind. I'm going to go ahead and move on. 10x was another one, 5-minute flag setup. And this one was actually alerted to me from a friend. He was looking at it. He's like, hey, I see a nice 5-minute flag setup on 10x. I think we can get long here and, pretty low risk. This is the flag setup right here. Nice high volume push, low VPA pullback into our, my pivot wasn't, I guess you could say directly on the money. Should have been somewhere right there off 15. We pull into our 15 area pivot, and this is where I got long. I got long at 1549. So we kind of consolidate here for a second. We get a push up into 16. Took my first piece off at 16. Took more off at 17. Took more off at 19 into here, all the way up here. And then I had my last piece, and I was looking to see if this thing can, begin to open up. Another one, looking at the daily. You can see I had my levels marked out. Over 19, could push into 20s, and that's me and Dom were actually talking about it in the Goblin Gang, saying, we're holding for the move into 20s. Ultimately, we didn't get it. At the time, SPY was like tanking, and there was some like Russia, Ukraine, Poland news that came out, and that started to affect the market. So I feel like people started, sitting on their hands until, they get some real news coming through. You could see over 21, we had room into, 23s and etc. So really nice 5-minute flag, think I nailed the entry, and, we got a nice follow through. Held my last piece through this, drew my downtrend line. Got the nice, keep in mind I have 15.49 average, so I can kind of give my last piece some wiggle room. If I need to, I can cut it break even. Get a nice move back up into 18. And then over here on this trend break, this is where I cut at 17 cents. I believe it was, 17 cents even. And those were the small cap trades for me. I want to show the walkthrough on this one over here, if it'll let me. Yeah, I thought so. Damn, I'm messing up all kinds of ways. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. We'll search 10x, and we'll see if it can come on in the trading floor. Yeah, so 10x long 5-minute flag. Dom was long with me, or well, I was actually long with Dom. We kind of got it at the same time. a high day there, still holding a few runners. The fact that it hasn't sold off told me, we can push into 20s. And then ultimately, I think there was more in the stock chat. Because there was a couple messages where I was like talking about, where I think we can go, and that I was holding my piece.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out for me. I don't know about other people.
Possibly. Like I said, I was on my hotspot.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Right.
Well, it's all right. I'm recording anyway, so the recording should be fine.
Alright, perfect.
Yeah. Later in the day on SPY, this one was beautiful. Nice descending triangle. Set up all morning long. Ignore my drawings. I'm gonna go ahead and delete them and start fresh. So in the morning, I kind of had this setup drawn right here. Then I also had my line drawn. I believe it was right over here off this 399 400 area. Nice descending triangle setup. I had my extended hours off, and I was looking for this gap fill back to 395s. I didn't post that I was looking for the gap fill, and honestly, it's because I felt like people would have thought I was crazy if they thought SPY was going to tank from 400 to 395s. And at 11 a.m., which is right into here around 400s, I got short on SPY. I bought the 395 strikes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I had the 395 strikes at 9 cents, which is $9. And the Russian-Ukraine Poland news came out, whatever. And I don't know if that kind of tanked the markets, but SPY just nosedived and went all the way into 395. These puts went into the money. Everyone in the Goblin Gang was on it. We were on SPY all morning. There's another picture of the descending triangle from Hingle. Everyone was like long on the short side, and we were all looking for the move down. And I was able to capitalize 250% on the SPY puts. Got them at 0.9 cents, and I sold out of them at 0.33 cents. And literally, I started covering into here, got my last piece off into here at 33s. And this move down right here was so massive that the contracts actually went from 9 cents, which was my initial average, all the way down to, I believe it was 189 cents, for a total of a 1,220%, I believe. I didn't make that, 1,220%. This was my final take profit, which was 250% for 33 cents. But overall, great trade. Kind of like the one yesterday where I left a lot on the table, but if you make 250% in a trade, are you really going to complain? But yeah, with that being said, pretty sure those are all my trades. Yeah, so there's SPY. There's that one. I covered the other one. Yeah, pretty much that's all my trades on the day. I don't know if it's still cutting me in and out, but if you guys have any questions or anything.
Now you're loud and clear ever since that.
Beautiful.
So on the success you've had on options the past 2 days, I feel like it's pretty wild. You've seen that in the group. Like, did that kind of change your thinking, like moving forward? Like, do you feel like options are kind of the way to go, or just another tool in the tool bag? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's kind of a great question, and it's also a funny one because my friend that trades options actually asked me the same thing today, and I told him that I don't know, honestly. I like the options a lot. You can make a lot of money really, really quickly, and the way the premium moves, if there's a big drop down, it skyrockets. But for me, I kind of I'm at the point in my trading where I want to have as many strategies as I can in my arsenal, so when the market does get slow, I can shift around and go from shorting to longing small caps. And lately I've been doing both, and it's been working out. So am I going to shift my focus strictly to options? I'd say no. I only would if the small caps are dead. So if there's no small caps moving, then yeah, I'll probably just go and play options. But yeah, there was another short that I missed today, and I'm really, really mad I missed this one. I kind of got not scared, but my buddy was like, hey, wait for a retest, and it kind of got in my head. So Tommy was, he was looking at this. I don't know if he's seen the Head and Shoulders, but I did. looking for this neckline break on Meta. I had the 115 puts in the chamber. You know, they were ready to go. All I had to do was press send for the order, and we were looking for the move into the initial low of day. We got the neckline break on, you know, kind of high volume at the time, and it just didn't retest. And that's something that I keep on noticing with large caps. They do not retest. If they break trend on high volume, then you just have to take the risk and get in, you know. Some would consider this like a retest here, but once this candle closed, it opened up here and it just started falling. So there really was no like pull up, you know, couple minute consolidation on the one and then tank down. But I didn't play this one. I did have it marked up. I had the 115s, you know, in the chamber ready to go, but I kind of got, I wouldn't say nervous, you know, I just didn't see the confirmation. So I was like, you know, I can't really short this right here, but massive moves. These contracts ended up moving like 20% in premium, and that would have been great to you know, add on to the SPY trade earlier in the day. There was a few others that I was watching on SPY. So into the close, we had this, you know, trend line trending higher here, and I was looking for the break. Didn't end up playing it because normally I play 0 DTEs, and I didn't really want to get burned on the premium, so you know, I kind of sat out of them. But we had our trend line here, and I'll go ahead and draw it for you. So it was something like that at the time. I believe it was this low. Broke our trend line, came back up, retested it, and that's when I posted in the Goblin Gang that I seen this head and shoulders setup right here. And you know, our neckline was off 398.20 area. We ended up dropping down. You know, the expirations for like a week out probably moved in premium, but I didn't play it. But I know a lot of people did, and I want to see if I can find that picture of the head and shoulders for you guys. Yeah, there it is. So nice head and shoulders. You know, it ended up working out nicely, but I didn't capitalize on it. But just wanted to note it because, you know, it was a really nice setup, and I think it's something you guys should all look for if you do want to try playing small or large cap. Sorry. But yeah, that's my day.
I had a question about 10x.
What's up?
Because that 5-minute pullback looked kind of deep. So I was just curious. Did you take that pullback into that pivot anyways, just because of the VPA?
So not only the VPA, great question, and not only the VPA. So if you look left, we have this pivot over here as well. So you know, you have the descending VPA, which is one that you want to see in a flag. You have the flag formation, obviously, and then not only that, you have your pivot, which is also a great thing, and it's something that, you know, provides the obvious risk point. So it was more of, you can call it flag, but to me it was kind of flag and pivot. So there was two confirming signals for me. Look at it on the 10 real quick. Kind of a 10-minute setup, except for this, you know, big wick. But yeah, normally when I'm getting into flags, they always have to be off of pivots. And if there's a pivot and it's a low risk pivot and there's a flag formation with the descending VPA, it's something worth taking a stab at, in my opinion.
Okay. And was that 15 pivot, is that from the intraday, or did you pull that off the daily?
That's from right in this area. So it's not like a perfect pivot, but you could see, you know, right in this area, you know, we kind of had this whole area of support. I honestly didn't look at the daily. I don't think I did for this 15 pivot. But yeah, you could see the 15 pivot all in this area. But yeah, at the time, I kind of just went off the intraday pivot, which was this kind of 15-14 area. You could see this one from the daily, which was 15 exactly, you know, lines up with the area as well. So, you know, overall, pretty low risk. You know, if we cracked 15 and started, you know, flushing lower, my thesis, you know, would have been thrown out the window, and I would have had to take in the L on the trade, but, you know, it worked out, so that's good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Thank you.
Also had a quick question that blanking on the name of the stock now. I think it was the one you showed right before this. It was like an early 5-minute flag.
That would have been SNES.
Yeah, that the downtrend line right there kind of caught my attention. Like, were you just drawing that to kind of like confirm the breakout there above the pivot, or what exactly?
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe I was on the 1 minute at the time when I did that. and we had this push up to the high. You're talking about this downtrend line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had this first high. We came down. I got long, whatever. And then when we pushed up here, we did put in a lower high. And in my mind, that's, obviously the beginning of a downtrend. So that's when I drew the downtrend line. And I was like, all right, so what we're going to need to do now is, obviously come down to this pivot, try and put in a higher low if we can. If not, hold the pivot and then, get through this level. This level, also lined up with, the previous high over here. So this is like another example of that double top I always talk about at the highs. But yeah, mindset here was, we got one high here, one lower high here. Let me put my downtrend line and, let me, work with it and see what happens. And, we eventually got the break. And I noticed when I do things like this, from a technical standpoint, it kind of helps me with like confidence in a way. Because if you have a downtrend line and you see the break, automatically in your mind, if you're familiar with trend lines, you're going to think that's bullish sentiment. So that's like kind of a confirming signal for your own mental to be like, okay, this is looking strong, I should stay in this trade, and blah blah blah.
Right. So if it came back up and hit it that third time, went back down, would you thought to like start kind of scaling out?
I would have probably scaled out. Would I have exited my position? Probably not until my stop was hit. But would I have scaled some out? Yeah, probably. I would have, tried to protect or take down as much risk as I could. But in this case, it worked out well.
Nice.
Kind of a 1 minute flag right here as well. High volume push, low VPA pullback into this pivot. Yeah, there was a lot of opportunities here, and then you could have drawn like a trend line here and connected it to that low. A lot of opportunities here, also right here, and then that would have been a signal to start wondering what's going on when you broke this uptrend that you had going. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Anyone else got any questions? Anything at all? No?
Good for me.
Alrighty. I guess we'll wrap it up here, guys, and we'll meet up tomorrow again for another review.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, guys. Take care, stay blessed, have a good evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow.